All right.
Yeah, what's my favorite pagan deity? What is pagan? Is
What's
everything pagan that's not like Christian from a Christian perspective?
I don't know. I talked to a friend of mine, as a pastor one time, and he said we were talking about it, and he said I think the etymology of the word is just like woods or something like that, but
Oh yeah,
not positive. I don't know. Yeah, it gets used differently than that though, for sure. I'm gonna Google it. Let me see.
man,
Pagan
pagan. I feel like
etymology.
it gets used in a positive context too. Like we have a type of education here, and they say it's based on pagan practices as well.
Do you think it's used in a positive way? Is
Yeah,
that what you're
yeah. Some
saying?
people use it positive.
Oh,
I don't
oh,
know what it
that's
means.
cool.
Like, what does pagan even mean? Is it like plebeian, like something
Yeah,
less
I don't. It
pagan?
looks like Latin pagus means country or district. And
Ah, here.
paganus means village or rustic. So,
Ah, okay. Yeah. This one says
yeah.
Oxford Languages says a person holding religious beliefs other than those of the main or recognized religions.
Did I?
Okay.
I don't think I told you. My priest, because I'm getting baptized.
Oh yeah.
So this is good. This is record. Getting baptized next weekend actually. But we met with him, and I totally forgot we had been working, and I just showed up with my Vishnu little icon around my
Good
neck, and
dog,
he's
you
like,
got to
"What?"
get out of here, man. This is a little too
He made,
much.
yeah, he made me throw it out. He was like, "What is that around your neck?" And I was like, it's an Indian god." And he was like, "Yeah, we can't be mixing stuff like that. You gotta get rid of it." So I
Man, you're
did.
gonna
It threw
last
it
like
down,
4 days
but
in there.
yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, I saw the Orthodox priest yesterday from the Coptic church in the supermarket wearing the whole robe and everything, and then just sneakers, and I was like, "This is trippy."
In
Yeah,
sneakers.
yeah,
Yeah, ours he rides like a dirt bike too. It's kind of cool.
yeah, man. So you're joining the Orthodox Church, so
Yeah,
I think with you, I I think it kind of makes sense in an interesting way. So why don't you
thanks for
explain
saying
like
that.
how did you get there? What happened?
Um, it was
What went so
Rebecca's
wrong in
fault.
your life that you're now an Orthodox Christian?
I don't know where she is. Where'd she go? It's, it's Rebecca's fault. No, well, I mean, I didn't want to join the church because it's just obnoxious. Like it still annoys me a lot
Yeah,
too. I don't know why. It's like this weird cliche that
yeah,
just is. Yeah, where it's the I don't know, the whole ortho bro thing kind of bothers me too. But I don't know. I think it just was kind of becoming a fad, and just hearing about it all the time.
yeah,
I didn't really, I don't know. I think that kind of turned me off. It didn't really make me want to actually join. And then a lot of people I talked to on the internet would turn me off from it.
yeah.
Just because you talk to them and that, like even like if I'm being totally honest, I probably maybe I shouldn't throw out names. He's a big name guy. What's the Lord of Spirits podcast? Like
Yeah, okay,
that made me not want to join Orthodoxy because
okay.
it feels like a lot of it is in a lot of the conversation, it's like they're very quick to bash Protestantism and be like, "Oh, this is the right way. We have it right."
Definitely.
I don't know.
I get that
So it
feeling
was
too.
yeah, it was just annoying. But then moving out here, I moved out with Becca, so I like almost a year ago, and then just being part of the community and stuff, and then um, just kind of being more, I guess, just being more involved and going to church and making like friends and being there, and then like honestly my reasoning I don't really have clear reasoning for
Uh,
joining. We like I wasn't necessarily even feeling like I was going that way. I was looking into Catholicism. I met with some Catholic priests out here. Every time I met with a priest, it kind of turned me more away from Catholicism. But Cal, who you talk to and stuff, like he's Catholic. He like I have friends that make Catholicism beautiful. And
yeah.
so I was kind of leaning more that way. And then um we had gone to Seattle, Rebecca and I, to visit her family, and then we went to a church out there. It was like this little tiny Orthodox church in a barn, and we just caught like the last 10 minutes because we were passing through. And there's a church of St. Thomas, And then after that, it was something about St. Thomas, and I was just thinking like kind of weird, I don't know how to describe it, like a weird kind of mis wouldn't
Yeah.
say so much, it wasn't like a strong pull or a
Ah,
mystical pull or something, but I just remember thinking like if I could get baptized and it would give me a deeper connection with
hmm.
this saint even, I would do it on the off chance of that happening. Because I have a really, really uh strong, deep connection with Thomas now that I've had for years that I
Ah,
didn't really, it's always been there, but it didn't really, I guess, blossom or like I didn't notice as much
yeah.
until more recently. And so that's kind of one like weird sort of underlying
Yeah.
thing that kind of was, I guess, not urging me, but maybe directing me more towards that of like, oh, okay, I could just, I could get baptized Orthodox. The other reason is I don't like, it got to the point too where I was like, I don't really have anywhere else to go. Like I'm
Hmm.
Christian. Like, sure, I can look into Hinduism. Like I can see all the beauty in it and everything, but I can't become Hindu. I can't become
Yeah.
Jewish. Like I honestly think Jewish theology is probably the best theology, but I'm not going to become Jewish. And then so like I'm actually was brought up Christian. It's in my bones. So
Yeah.
like I don't know where else to go, and there's nowhere I'm going to go that I'm going to agree with every sort of theological statement they make. Like that's
Yeah.
just not going to happen
That's for
because
sure.
yeah, because and I was talking to Luke about this yesterday actually. Well, I left him a voice message. He didn't respond yet. But I was just like saying because he brought up this Gavin Orland comment where the guy said he would rather, what was it? He would rather go to, this is the stuff that turns me off from Orthodoxy. His
Yeah.
statement was, I would rather worship in an Orthodox church in a sewer than worship in a cathedral that preaches heresy or something like that. And just really, really black and white. I'm assuming because he thinks the Orthodox Church has all the right answers,
Yeah.
which I don't think so. But I was like, even if that's so, even if you find a church where you agree with every single thing they say, like your own hypocrisy is going to find you out somewhere. So like you're just like good luck. Like you're going to become the weird like inconsistency because
Yeah.
everything seems to at some point resolve in some sort of paradox. So you're gonna, if you draw a hard line and make sort of all the rules of the church or confessions or whatever, it's like you're gonna run into areas where you're the hypocrite. Like
Uh-huh.
it's just gonna happen. So if your church isn't that, if you don't see it in your church, it's gonna happen in you, or you're just gonna kind of, I think, walk around in some sort of arrogant delusion to where you don't
Yeah.
notice that or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was that was that too, where it was just like I don't really have anywhere else to go, I guess. It's just um it's just that it's comfortable being in the services. There's no like weird theological claims I have to make. It was just yeah, I don't, and it's kind of hard to describe. And then
Yeah.
the thing that kind of topped it off was that we met with the priest and I was talking to him one-on-one and privately. And I was asking him the question I've kind of asked other Christians and priests for years. And um he he didn't give me like, it was weird because I went in the conversation. I was not fishing for anything theological. Like I did not want to have a theological conversation. I was like, I'm done like
Mm.
asking priests these questions and getting the same answer. I don't care. I'm just going to join the church. I don't. And we ended up talking theology, even though that happened. But it was around the idea of forgiveness and who can, that question, who can forgive sins but God alone? It's like Matthew 5, no, Matthew 9, I think, Matthew chapter 9 where they asked Jesus that question because Jesus says to the paralytic, son, your sins are forgiven you. And like usually every Christian or every priest I've ever asked, it gets to this point where they're like, well, yeah, only God can forgive sins. Like they basically say what the Pharisee says. There's always this distinction between God and man. And it's like, well, really only can forgive sins. And he did kind of say that in a way because he kind of used the other verse like we love or we forgive because God first forgave us. So there ultimately is like a, because God first forgave us, like we can forgive. So on some level, it is ultimately God's. But though he, I could send you a copy of the homily too. He did a homily on it afterwards, but
Mm.
it was just, it wasn't necessarily like the answer I wanted to hear, but it was an answer that actually gave me comfort for the first time ever.
See.
And I was like around my biggest theological hang up of just like, do I forgive sins or does God forgive sins? And I told him flat out in the conversation too. I was like, if I'm just gonna say it the most blunt way I can, I would just say that you're God. I'm God. My fiance's God. Like everybody's God. Like what's the distinction here? Like if God if you know if God forgives or I forgive, like then me in the act of forgiveness, then I'm God, or I'm at least partaking of his nature and stuff like that. And he didn't really like deny that. He just, it's like he I don't know.
I see what you
So
mean.
that yeah.
Yeah.
So getting into that conversation with him actually was very yeah, I all I can say is comforting, I guess,
Uh-huh.
probably is the right word. Yeah.
So you're starting to feel at home in that place that you're getting back
Yeah.
to. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
That's my long rant. Sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. So why go anywhere? Why don't you just say, you know, I won't join any tradition or church? What makes you go into that direction?
That's a really good question. I think it gets at probably a lot of things. I haven't been in a like I feel like I haven't really been in a church or a part of a church in maybe I would say a really long time, maybe all my life. Like we went to churches, we went to a non-denominational church, but I don't ever remember like there being some sort of it's very open, like communion's always open. Like it's there's no sort of exclusion. Um and I could still remain there, but it seems like the places that felt the best for me in that, especially in that time of life, and they still feel the best for me today, are like just being out in the woods. Like that's where I feel my
Yeah.
deepest connection to God, where you're just out and like, yeah, you're not a part of anything. There's no, you're a part of God's creation, like all of it.
Uh-huh.
Um, and in a way, I guess I don't know. I've never really, really seriously attended like Baptist or anything like that, like other sort of Protestant circles. Like I've been to some services. It was mostly always non-denom, which are very, yeah, very open. So I could kind of still remain there, but I think the ultimate question, the reason I say it's a really interesting question is I guess because I've just been um just thinking about vows in general. I don't know, and just it's kind of, I guess, kind of it relates to the question of like, why did you marry your wife? Like to me, it
Yeah.
seems like that. Like, why? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of the same question. Like, why not just be single? Then you could have any girl anytime. It's like there's this thing with just making a decision. Like,
Oh, yeah, it's good, huh?
just do it. Like, yeah, and and I think there's something to that that's ultimately just kind of behind it where it's like just the idea of commitment. Like, okay, I'm just gonna just
Yeah,
do it. Uh, I don't know.
that's super cool. Yeah, I've had the same for sure. Both with my wife and with the church.
What part of church are you of? Mhm.
Well, I just actually at the same time as you, I started going back to church 2 weeks ago or so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a Catholic church. I mean, partially there's another Orthodox church here also, but part of the reason
It's
I find it
annoying.
huh?
It said it's annoying.
No, 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 I didn't. It's
Oh,
no,
I think it's annoying. I still go and I'm half the time like it's
I think for me, a Protestant church would be more annoying
yeah, yeah,
because
that's
of
true.
the propositional nature of it, and then
Yeah.
I think even the Catholic Church is more annoying to me, but I try to like let that part of me die when I'm there. Um,
Mm, yeah.
but yeah, Orthodoxy for me, it's difficult to completely embrace. I understand the exclusive nature of it, but it's something about that in my being feels difficult to embrace. Um, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That's just, yeah, for me, a hit.
Yeah, that's sorry, go ahead, finish.
No, you.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, the exclusivity thing. That's one thing I like trying to I guess even wrestle with or navigate more because there's something to it that is kind of excruciating and when it happens in certain ways, the exclusivity when it happens in certain formats, it really is obnoxious. Like the confessionalism thing like you're talking about within Protestantism when it's all this weird sort of ideological thing. But then at the same time, like I don't want to throw it out because of things like marriage and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It's like you like it seems uh yeah, it's the whole outside inside thing. And it's just very there's something to it where you have to really appreciate that, like the exclusivity of it at some point. Because I think
Yeah.
it keeps it and I think they would say the same thing. It keeps it holy because it's set apart from everything else.
Uh-huh.
It's really like insular and everything out there is pagan, I guess. But yeah, and so this is holy and it keeps it preserved. Um which is, I mean, same thing like with your marriage and stuff too. So
Yes.
it's
Yes, the
and that's the
boundaries
same
are
thing.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it. And it's even related to the the stuff I would think we talked about before too with magic
Yeah.
circles. Like that's
That was just what I was
all
thinking
that's
about.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so like there's a and even just any container, there's like a fermentation process that happens in it. So when you exclude other things and you let that sit in there and ferment, it's like there's a power to being exclusive for sure.
Uh-huh.
And when you draw that magic circle, like you can have that some sort of I don't know what you call it. The focus gets into that
Yeah.
circle, and then you can accumulate power. That sounds so bad, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you
So,
mean.
yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the the exclusivity of it, I don't know that it bothers me. Uh Luke would say he likes the Orthodox Church because they conserve their magic circle is hospitality. So it's like an open, it's like it's kind of like I think kind of like I would say if I'm going to be married to any idea, it would be forgiveness because forgiveness is open. Like I'm fully committed and my circle is closed and it's like a like the ring. I'm I'm bound and committed to this one thing that is actually like will forgive my infidelity or something, you know.
Yeah.
It's like the most open thing. And so that's what Luke would say about the Orthodox Church too, but I don't know that that's true in all of them. It's probably just his that he attends.
I see, I
Because
see.
like you said, and you know, the one you probably went to, and I think a lot of them, and a lot of the people that talk online, it feels very yeah, exclusive and just in almost like a weird Protestant way or something, you know? Like it's
Ah.
like I don't know. There's
I
something.
think I think ultimately I'm just seeing what Luke's doing. I'm trying to set up on my shittier old computer. My wife woke up and wanted the newer one. All right.
Can we swear on this podcast? What the?
Yeah. Say anything. Don't know if God will
let's
forgive you.
let's beat
That'd
him
be
up
crazy.
when he gets here.
Yeah.
How do you like the Catholic Church though?
Yeah, so I like it. For me, it's also I'm not so much about this is better than the other thing, but definitely some things suit me better than other things. And that differs per person. I'm not trying to be a church shopper, but I did, see different places. And this place does make sense to me for who I am and where I am. Like it's international. So that means there's people from just everywhere, which to me is very interesting just to get
Yeah,
within being the same and following the same tradition. You get a lot of diversity, which is cool.
that's
And
right.
it's closest to my house, just geographically speaking. So that's cool. Uh,
That's nice.
but I
You
like
get to
it.
walk there.
Yeah, I can walk there. It's nice. It
Nice.
feels warm, and I hear the bells every Sunday morning, calling you out there. So all of that
That's
is
cool.
is it's feeling quite connected, and it makes a lot of sense. And kind of, I always cycle past that church, and every time I just look at it, and it's difficult to not be in relationship with it directly. Uh, to see it every time, it's always like a bit confrontational. It has been. And then when I took the trip, and after I had the podcast conversation with David and Matthew about what the church is, and also kind of talking about my hangups with it,
Yeah.
I had time to reflect on it in Malaysia. And I spoke with Matthew about this later. He said recently to me in a message, like, going on a trip will allow you to reflect well on your life, like if it's going well or if there's anything missing. And I do feel like church is something that I'd been missing, some sort of community in which you uh, worship something transcendental and beautiful and good. There's plenty of places that worship things, but this feels like the right thing to worship.
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
non-thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been good. It's been good to answer your question. It's been
Is it pretty large?
yeah, it's quite large. I feel a couple hundred people per
Nice.
service, I would say.
Is this
Um,
your first time going to Catholic church or?
no, I mean I've lived in this city for 3 years and I've visited it on and off, just like
Okay, gotcha.
just to get a
Yeah.
sense of it out
Yeah.
of curiosity. But now it feels really good to just say, okay, I'm doing it. I'm joining it.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
am having a bit of trouble with understanding the steps because, you know, I was baptized in a Protestant manner when I was a little baby. And
Oh yeah.
they have a whole program for people that are non-Christian, but there's not really clear what you do if you're,
Yeah.
already
Yeah,
baptized.
when I was looking into it, it seems like it's definitely more of a process than Orthodoxy. It's it's
It's a
like,
process for sure.
yeah, and you gotta find some sort of get like witnesses or something so they could, because they document everything in the Catholic Church. But that's,
I'll
I don't
have
know,
to
dude,
find
that's
out.
super cool. I love the vibe of it. What is the
Why can't I
heck is
hear
here?
Wow.
anything? Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
what's up? Where
Yeah.
are you? Oh my
Why is it
gosh. In
dark?
a creepy basement.
Yeah.
Where are the ropes? Where are
I'm a
the
little
ropes,
worried
man?
about this
Where are
guy.
where are
I
the
can't
ropes?
hear. Can you hear me?
Where
Yeah,
are the
I can
ropes
hear
and
you.
chains?
I can hear
Who's
you.
that dangling in the background?
Hello?
Jeez.
Who's
Blink,
that?
blink 4 times if you're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let's keep
But
talking.
I love the
Ignore
Catholic
him.
vibe though.
Shit.
The Catholic Church vibe has
Shit.
like this
Should I just keep
this
saying shit?
this is dark. Like
I
I
love
like
it.
the dark gothic vibe, kind of like
You
Luke's
guys look
vibe
like
right
you're
now.
having a
There's
good time.
something about there's something about it. We are
How did
having a
you
good time.
how did you meet Luke actually, Jason?
This is the Discord server, sort of. No,
Oh,
it's the PVK like route thing. I don't even know how I found PVK, honestly. Somehow I ended up on the Discord, and
hmm.
Luke, I think, was the first person to reach out to me on there. Him and Sherry. Um,
Okay.
yeah, they just started sending me a bunch of George McDonald quotes and then threw me somewhere else. No, I'm just kidding.
Mm,
I love how Luke's
But
thinking
it
out
was
loud,
kind of,
figuring out
yeah,
his.
what's happening?
I don't think he can really hear us.
I
So
don't think you
he's
can
like some
either.
sort of in a liminal space while we're
damn
operating in
it.
reality,
Yeah.
haunting
So
us.
did you have any
Damn it.
in your trip to Malaysia, did you have any like did anything happen to you spiritually that made you think, more that, caused you to think more of that of joining the church? And what was your reasoning, all of that, reflecting
Oh,
on life and
yeah. Well, it was so cool because Malaysia is awesome in terms of diversity of religious practice. They have a big Chinese population, um, which there's a lot of Chinese temples all over the country. And some Chinese are Christian as well, and Muslim, I think. And then you have a big Indian population bringing their own tradition with them. So you have Hindu temples that you can visit too. And we went to like this cave inside of a mountain with like a massive statue and colored steps. That's just
no way.
it allowed me to step into kind of the world that I some semblance of the world that I've been studying with Egypt. I feel just to see like a modern tradition that goes back thousands of years that's very distinct from my own. So that was super cool. And then you have the original population that's been there for many many generations, the Malays. A lot of them are Muslim, and it's a Muslim country politically speaking. So you just get a lot of exposure to different traditions, and it really, man, it was so cool to step inside a lot of these temples and really see the worship and the sacrifice. They put food on the altars, and man, that was enchanting. Like also the incense everywhere. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's great.
yeah, and it kind of helped me to reflect, I guess, um, and to see what parts of that tradition appealed to me and kind of made me realize what I lacked
Mm.
and have lacked in my life in terms of yeah. a real experience with sacredness in just everyday life. That that is not just my personal experience when I walk through the woods, but it's also, you know, community organized and built with real materials to be more sacred than yeah than outside of that boundary. So that was super cool to just walk through and experience and see people live inside of that. Um, yeah, and somehow it made me closer to my own tradition, or at least the one that I'm trying to get initiated into with Catholicism. But for me, like, it feels weird to say to become a that I'm becoming a Catholic. It's more that I feel that this is for me a step into closer to God. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah,
that
that makes
makes sense for
sense.
me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
And
Yeah,
like you
same. It
said, with
feels
Hinduism, what if I was an Indian person growing up in really Hinduist India? Maybe that would make a lot more sense for me. But Luke, can you hear
What
I'm
us?
up?
here. You can hear
I
us?
can hear you. Can you hear me?
All right.
What's the
Yeah.
story? What's
Fine.
the story? Talk to
Yeah.
us. We got to hear some things from you.
I don't even I've been having computer problems. I mean,
That's real, man. You
that's
got to talk about it.
that's the main problem. I have an old computer. My wife woke up annoyingly.
What you drinking?
Coffee?
Whiskey?
No, coffee. It's
Coffee,
in the morning.
coffee.
Oh my God.
Also, what
I
I
thought
what
you
I
had like
pitched what I
go
pitched to
ahead. Go ahead.
Jason was that this should be the like I don't the Get Swole TLC or like
Yeah,
the
I
Gym
agree.
Bros
Yeah.
TLC.
let's
But like I
go.
didn't come sporting a tank like
Yeah, you're
Jason.
always wearing a tank.
I thought we were
I
gonna
thought
do
for sure
all
you
three of
were.
us tank tops today. I'm a bit disappointed in myself not
I
to you, but
I'm the only one to show you guys make me look like a fool here.
yeah,
We
next
could.
time.
I watched so many of your shorts, Lucas. I'm starting to wonder if I'm gay. It's unbelievable.
He
No, it's
Let's
does
not
hope.
stuff.
true.
Did you see him break the machine? He was in the
No, I
gym
didn't see
working out and
that
he
one.
broke the freaking machine.
I
Yeah,
think
Not
the yeah.
he's
surprised.
the leader.
Let's do it. I'm into it. Let's do it. We could do an
I
alpha
have
course and go on a retreat and just like, you
It
know,
would it would honestly be beneficial to me probably because I was telling Luke I have hurt myself so many times. Well, you know this too, Lucas, because I reached
yeah,
out to
you've
you
told me
once.
all about it,
I
man. Elbows.
yeah, somehow I
Yeah.
end up hurting myself every time, not every time I work out, but it happens a lot.
hard. It's hard. I don't even know, but I'm getting old. But I feel like you're older than you seem. Because like I
Me,
always, yeah, like are you? I feel like I've asked you this before, and we're
I'm
like
30.
closer to age. Like I think
Yeah, I'm
you and I are close
37.
to age. Oh yeah, see,
How old are you,
Yeah,
Jason?
37.
37?
Yeah. I just didn't have a kid. So,
Congrats.
when you don't have a kid, they don't like drain your life
yeah,
away.
Wow.
that's what my wife says. Like the last 5 years, like you get teenagers and stuff, and all of a sudden, I mean, I don't know what's correlation causation. Maybe it's just that we're getting older, but also we have teenagers, and it's just like gray
Yeah.
hair, just old, and you're just
Uh,
tired.
that's how it feels. Yeah.
Man,
I think
you look young though with the shaved head. It looks good. You look like
Mm,
Avatar, Aang.
yeah. Do I have an arrow on my head?
No, you're missing the arrow though.
Yeah.
I don't know that
So
reference.
what's the story? What's the story? Why did you shave your head? What's the
Um,
motivation?
well, I don't, so I think I'm safe here to talk about it. I try to not bring up his name like Voldemort, but
Uh-huh.
my most frequent commenter, and Jason knows about this, and just person who loves to accuse and psychoanalyze me, and when I'm not psychologically well in my comments, it can really mess with me because I'm too much. I listened to this podcast recently on empathy, and it was a husband and wife, and they talked about two different forms of uh, toxic empathy that they both have, and I'm like, I have both of those. So like I care way too much about other people's feelings and not nearly enough about my own.
Ah,
And so there's this commenter that when I'm not in a good headspace, he can really mess with me, and I don't want to give him that power. I wouldn't want him to know that. I should probably
I thought it
never mind, never air this.
I thought it was a she, but apparently it could be a he.
probably
We
my
don't know.
brother, to be honest.
Um
But anyhow, they were psychoanalyzing me, saying that I shave my head is like a cry for help, like I'm Britney Spears or something, and I'm
You
spiraling.
should, yeah, lead into that.
I thought it was like a spiritual rebirth type of thing.
Well, no. If you knew me better, you would know how fragile I am and neurotic, and that this is not spiritual rebirth. This
Did you
is
did
someone help me, please. God, someone help me.
Jason,
yeah,
what
you look like you're in a crisis. Did you shave your head with your straight razor?
No,
That's
no,
the
I
real
didn't.
question. Oh,
I
that would
just buzzed
come
it
on.
because I
that would
don't
be
know. I
so
don't know.
badass. A razor.
Yeah,
You
I
ever
we
see
mean,
should have got
dudes
a
like
short of
yeah.
that.
yeah.
Yeah, with our gym bros thing, you could be like wearing your tank top, shaving your head with a straight razor. That would have been a good little
Yeah,
short there.
that feels more. I have a straight razor. I could go get my strop. It's downstairs and show you guys my strop. You want to see my
I
strop?
don't
My
even know what
strop.
that is. Yeah, yeah. Let's see it. Let's see it.
It's it's just like it's the leather strop that you use to sharpen a straight edge. Because I do shave with
Oh,
a straight edge,
I see.
yeah.
So Luke,
but
how's
not on
it
my
been
head.
since because last time I invited you, you were in Lent period. You
Mm-hmm.
remember?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll be right
How's
back. I gotta.
yeah, go ahead. Jason's got stuff to do with the bed. I don't know exactly. Uh
Okay.
how's it been since you got back from that?
Um, it's been good. I don't know. I don't know if you watched my live stream where I talked about during Lent. It felt like a I don't know. Lent is an interesting experience, especially as you age and in your different phases of life. Because uh, I don't necessarily keep, well, I don't really at all keep like the technical Orthodox fast in regards to food and all that stuff. But I did take streaming, largely a lot of forms of media fast, and it was, um, I think it's good. I mean, I think broadly in general, fasting from things is a good practice. Like I've even been realizing recently, like the last year probably, I've it's harder and harder for me to read.
Mm,
Like I feel like Jason's not a big reader unless it's George MacDonald or the Bible or Calvin and Hobbes, but I don't know. I feel like you read
Accurate.
a fair amount. Like a lot of I just it's I'm losing the skill, I guess, kind
uh,
of moving into like a post-literate thing and
yeah,
Because you're not a
it's
nerd.
it's
That's
partially
why.
ADHD, but
yeah,
I don't think I want to. Like I mean I'm of two minds of it, so I'd love to know your guys' thoughts of like we've been in the Gutenberg galaxy. I mean, we've been under the total dominance of the written word and written word institutions for 500 years. And that's fine, but like I think people have a tendency to falsely believe that like the written word is some sort of like sacrosanct unquestioning basis of like all uh all culture. And I
yeah,
don't think that's true.
yeah,
I really don't think that's true. But like I don't want to lose the skill because I have really been blessed by the written word, but like I don't know. So I've been thinking about that a lot. Just
yeah.
different technological mediums and how that affects culture and then how I should interact with both of those
Good.
or different ones.
Yeah, first thoughts on that. I definitely love um the idea that we're like I mean, when was literacy invented? 5,000 years ago? Something like that.
I mean, yeah, straight literacy, but like yeah, but books
And then
and the
reading,
literary
that's even
is
more recent. I think
yeah,
most humans are probably more able to learn and comprehend things while listening. I think. I think that's
so much
just
older, man.
yeah, it's just older. It feels more primal, so I'm definitely more on that camp of things. But I also think that there's a beauty to the invention of the
What do you think
Gutenberg.
are the strengths of the different mediums? Because I do think, like, I mean, this is how I think of consciousness. It's a very McLuhan medium is the message, but I think different technological mediums have different strengths and weaknesses, and they're not
Yeah,
better or worse. Like, I think in a lot of ways, the written word, like Socrates, I think of it this way: writing will make you forget. So I think there's a certain way in which writing positively affects memory and negatively affects memory. Because
yeah,
even like for myself, I have like a that's how I think. Like I have this Rolodex of almost like visual quotes
Uh,
that I just ping off of all the time, and that comes from reading.
yeah.
But
And
it's
then you see
different.
them.
It's very different than podcasts or audio or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think reading definitely affords different type of integration than listening does. Also do the same at the both at the same time. Where if I read, I will do a audiobook while I'm reading. I
Mm.
find that just helps me integrate it better than if I'm just reading because I'll trail off. And I also think that reading, uh, maybe that's not true. Maybe I shouldn't say that. But for me, it affords a bit more of that propositional side of things. Uh, and I don't know exactly why. Maybe it's the style of argumentation that people use when they write as opposed to when they're having a conversation. Like for me, a conversation is much more intuitive. So I prefer often listening to difficult topics being discussed rather than argued in a monological fashion, if you know what I mean. But that's why Plato is my favorite book, like Plato's
Mm.
complete works, because they're all dialogues. Uh,
Yeah.
so I don't think necessarily that's inside of the written word, but definitely it affords more of that monological type of thing that I'm not as big of a fan of, although it has its place. Jason,
Is the is the theory that Plato quick? I do want to hear what Jason has to say. A
yeah,
little, not really. Does in Plato in Plato is the theory, because I don't know a ton about this, that his dialogues were those created from his own imagination, or are they legit
I think it's a bit of
transcribed
a
somewhat
mix.
dialogues?
I think it's a bit of a mix of both. I think Vervaeke sometimes says that. I think he said that Plato. He quoted Plato saying, "I made Socrates more beautiful" or something like that.
Oh
Um,
damn.
so
God, get me a Plato. Jason, be my Plato. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know what to say. Can you hear me?
yeah, yeah. Go ahead,
Okay,
Jason.
okay.
What do you think about
I
all
don't know.
this?
I don't know. I mean that makes sense to me. Like if you have a dialogue, a written dialogue, because then you're kind of it's you have within it some sort of opponent processing, so it's not as propositional, I guess. You're not
Uh-huh.
just laying out facts. It's hard for me to read. It's becoming increasingly hard for me to read propositional things or just kind of more, I don't know what you call it, where it's more just
Yeah,
like this is how it is, like it's a more intellectual book
Nonfiction.
or something. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can read those if I'm going to discuss them with someone later. Like if I'm like, oh, I'm reading this
gonna do
idea and
something
then
with
I'll
them.
go talk to Rebecca about
Yeah,
it or something. We'll have a conversation and then I'm in dialogue about it. But otherwise, I'd rather just read a story or a dialogue like you're talking about. Because I don't, yeah, I don't know what it is. It allows for more, I think, open thinking, I guess. You can
yeah,
just, yeah, you can actually think. It allows for you to think for yourself more. And the thing that comes to mind too, like that, every time we talk about the written word, I always think about the Book of Enoch because there was one part in it where it talked about one of the angels came down and taught men how to write, and it was like one of the worst sins or something like that.
Damn.
And I just always thought it was so intriguing because I'm like, we place it on such a
yeah, yeah.
high value to be able to write and to be able to, because you can write laws. Like as soon as you can do that, anything you write is kind of a law because it's like you're
Uh-huh.
engraving it in stone, it's solid. It's like here's the statement,
It's
here's the
precise.
quote. Yeah. And
I
so I
think it's
think there's
been
something really evil about that, but something good too as well. It probably gets into the iconic thinking thing as well. It's something like that. Yeah.
well, so like when you just said that, like you can read if then you're gonna have an interesting conversation about it. There's a few things that I thought of is I relate to that because I'm the same way. Like even in I have a local book club and we exclusively read fiction, I guess, which is nice. But even that, like I sometimes I go back and forth and they won't watch this, but like sometimes the quality of they don't watch, I mean local people don't watch any TLC stuff. But like the
But this is
quality of
Lucas's channel. This is high
I
quality
know.
stuff. This isn't your.
I know, but they don't know, like they have no idea
Oh,
who
okay.
either of you guys are. You know what I mean? Um,
They will
but
when we get swole.
yeah, that's right. You didn't know me, but now, um, I the quality of the conversations that I have with them is less predictable than I would say like TLC conversations. Like I can almost guarantee if I go on and do a live stream and certain people come on, like I'm just gonna have a kick-ass conversation,
Yeah.
which then is really exciting and invigorating for me uh because then that's motivating, that's inspiring. Then I'll
Yeah.
maybe read something if it went along with that. But I feel like, to your point, Jason, like I used to 15 years ago or something, it was so much easier for me to read something, but it was more propositional, it was more linear, it was more just within my own consciousness rather than dialogical. And it's almost the difference between, and it annoys me now, YouTubers will still do this because I think they're falling on the remnants, but like I'll use this example. Like both Christopher Hitchens and Douglas Wilson, for a long time, they were blogging back and forth, like arguing about theism, atheism stuff. And then that evolved into like a friendship. And then they went on like a national tour in the US, which eventually became like a documentary called Collision, which is actually really cool. I have the DVD of it. But like it was an evolution because the dialoguing back and forth can be so I feel like it's so much more polemical than
Mhm.
kind of agapic mute. Like it's so much harder. It's so much different than the Rogan thing. Like when you're having a direct conversation with someone, like has evolved through the kind of podcast Rogan sphere thing. It's really hard. Even I think of like even Dave Smith, Douglas Murray, like that kind of thing. That's almost that was almost more like tit for tat
Yeah.
kind of a thing. But if they had ongoing conversations, it gets to the point where it's almost impossible to um, have a negative opponent processing because you just start to get into a flow where you become friends and you're
Yeah.
more automatically steel manning rather than, and there's something about that. There's something about the medium that
Yes.
lends toward that. Like the written word, I think it has a lot of positives, but it's become ossified. I think it's
Yeah.
become
Yeah.
stagnant.
And relationship is important there, huh? Because
Hmm.
that's also in Plato. Like the people that Socrates would speak to, he would know them. Like they're gonna, like some of the dialogues, it's like, oh, now let's go sit by that piece of grass, and it's like friends, and they're talking, and then you have this kick-ass conversation. But um, yeah, the written word allows you to do that with strangers without any, you know,
Yeah, you
introduction
don't know
or
them at all. And then if
none of that.
I'm like riffing on St. Paul, if I'm right about like the whole my personalist knowing, if it's knowing as you are known, that verse in First
Huh?
Corinthians 8, where it's like knowledge puffs up, but love edifies, and if anyone thinks he knows, he does not, you know as he ought. And then it goes on to say like proper knowledge is knowing as you are known. That is fundamentally relational. So what that would say is it's an illusion to think that you can properly interact with someone through the mere technology of writing because I don't think I won't say it's completely impossible because I think it is like it's part of just the evolution of consciousness and I've experienced that. I think you can, but I think there's so the constraints there's too many constraints around it. Like
Mm.
it's much harder to mischaracterize someone through audio and video, I think,
Yeah.
than it is writing.
All right, let's stop reading. Let's burn all the books, guys.
Yeah.
Time.
Stop texting. No, I agree because even with text, it's like you get a text message and then all of a sudden you overlay a tone in it. If you're not like
Yeah.
Yes.
at
Every
least with a
text Jason
voice going
sends me, I
on.
just think he hates me. He just like no, just kidding.
Most of
It's
Jason's
all memes and
texts,
voice messages.
most of them are memes. A lot of it's sexual.
That's
Extremely.
probably accurate. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's Cal's fault that I got into memes. I didn't even like memes before Cal, and then Cal, honestly, he's probably one of the funniest people in this little
He
corner.
is. He
He's
is. I would
hilarious,
agree.
but he sends me memes, and they're good stuff. It's just because
I only
they like make no
understand
sense, but they make sense somehow. It's the
I
weirdest thing
understand about
ever.
half of them. It's like I feel like it's a
Yeah.
bridge to my 17-year-old. Like sometimes I'll show him for these and he's just like, "Have you just like discovered meme culture?" And I'm like, "Kinda."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I had to
what?
go on a rabbit hole because I I deleted my Instagram, and so the only one I use is the band one. And then I got on there, and it was full of just all this liberal bullshit. So I had to like purposely try to like all the stupid memes to get it more in the algorithm again. So then it just opened up the world of these silly memes, and then yeah, that's where I live now.
Man, I'm out
Yeah,
of it. I
liberal
don't get
bullshit.
memes.
We're such a Jim Bros man culture. We don't like that liberal bullshit.
I just like that term. It's a fun term to use.
How
It
much
is.
creatine you
Nope.
guys take, like in general? I'm just kidding.
I actually have not taken it. I've heard about it though. I don't, what is it? I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, right. Take that jacket back off. Yeah, right. Not taking
Yeah, right.
creatine. You got
Okay.
insecure and you put on that shirt.
It's it's steroids, not creatine. We just go hard.
Creatine is like steroids, but not steroids, you know? It's like if your mom sees it, she'll think you're taking steroids,
Hmm.
but that's what it is. And it makes you
Right.
apparently less sleep
Yeah.
deprived.
Yeah. You're like, it's
What?
for brain function. It's a
Oh, I
neurotropic.
probably need that actually. Can you snort
Neurotropic?
it?
Yeah, I think
You
so. I have.
could.
Okay.
The my boss at the gym
I'm sold.
where I used to work, he said if you snort it, technically it gets into your bloodstream quicker or something.
Well, there you go. Or is depository.
Yeah, I was at
I
the
have a question.
airport. I was at the airport to Malaysia at an overlay in London, and we only had like 30 minutes, so we had to rush through this airport. It's massive, Heathrow. Never been there before. You have to take like a train within the airport, and we get to the security, and I have to take like my shoes off. They check everything. They check my whole bag, and I have this Tupperware of just white powder. This is I've Googled so many times, can you take creatine on planes? And this British lady just goes like, what is this? And I was like, it's a sports supplement, this and that. She's like,
Yeah. And you're like, it's fine. You snort some.
fine. And I had to take
Yeah,
my socks
exactly.
off. Like, what are we doing here? You know? And then
Well,
the within
it's
Malaysia, security check, it's like one short line and a little scanner, and we were done.
oh,
So
that's nice.
so yeah,
I
let's
feel
get
like
rid
a
of
lot of that
books and security. Yeah.
airport security is so dumb. I feel like sometimes, because I went on a trip with my wife recently and they were saying all this stuff where like because my wife has all these like products in this bag and it's all clear and they're like you can only take so many of these products and so she's just like sitting there frantically trying to get rid of stuff and they're saying it to me too and so I'm like pretend a little bit and then like put it all back in the bag and send it through and I'm like whatever, what's the worst case scenario? Like they actually check my bag and they're like oh actually you sent all that stuff and then you just play ignorant, you're like oh sorry and then throw it away, but I'm like if they don't check then I don't have to do all this bullshit and it was fine.
Yeah.
So you went to Italy, right?
Yeah, I did.
What did you think about it?
Uh, I I don't know. It was awesome and it was really lovely. And then as part of it is part of me thinks like I just shouldn't even go to Europe because then it just makes me resentful that I live in America when I come back to America. 'Cause I'm just like, why do we like because the biggest thing for me is food because I love food so much and food ethics and food quality is such a big deal. And you go to Italy and just like every restaurant is just phenomenal and inexpensive. Like you don't even have to go to like a nice place and it's so good. And then you come back to America and you're just like, what? And then I have to talk to people about food and Americans are so dumb when it comes to food. And and my kids and public school and I get depressed and then I shave my head.
If you had, yeah. So probably better not
I,
to go to Italy again.
But it was lovely. I mean, I love it. I love the culture. It's so like Rome is uh it's it's such a gluttony of history and beauty and what's so like PBK said this once and I think it's the best way to say it, it's very Tom Holland and everything, but there's something about Europe has Christianity like in its bones, in its architecture, so like the outward appearances and what people profess and what they say, like all that, it's post-Christian, but bullshit, it's in your streets
Ah,
and you feel that way when you're there,
mm,
you know. um So I don't know. There's part of I love that. I'd love to go back and travel a lot more over there. I want to come see you guys in the Netherlands. But then I'm also part of me wants to get motivated, and I would just ask you guys this to like I don't know, like rather than just bitching about America and the way that the negative parts of it, there are good parts too. But I'm like, how can we get a little of that
yeah,
over here?
yeah. Make your own pasta.
Yeah, but like I'm thinking more like
It's
city
rough.
architecture. You can do that in food.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean you can try to eat as well as you can, but like
Yeah.
our whole cities, like it's built up. Like this town north of me, I just saw this. I sent it to my wife. I'll illustrate it this way. But like this town north of me, Blaine in Minneapolis, there was this huge multi-million-dollar proposal because they're redesigning the city center, and it's all around. I mean, it's kind of like Rome, I guess, because it's all around like entertainment, athletic infrastructure, and shopping and movies and entertainment. And then there's just shopping centers, and then they're trying to have some parks and things. But like, there's not. I feel like it's so much different than Europe of like churches and then plazas and fountains and just places to be that aren't. I mean, maybe historically those were places of entertainment. I mean, I don't know. Like, what's different about those things? I don't know. Feels different.
I've never been to the US. When I look at it on Google Maps, it looks very like square and organized and yeah.
it's a freaking beautiful country. If you get to explore the countryside of it, I'm
Yeah.
not a fan of cities hardly ever, but like if you actually drive
The
across the
cities are
country,
pretty. Yeah.
it's like it's some of the most gorgeous land. It's
And
crazy.
massive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. But it's definitely we got our downfalls. The food thing is very difficult. It is for sure. Like I've because even going to India, I've said that so many times. Like I'll go over there, I'll eat 3 times as much food, just crap ton of rice, feel fine. Like especially if I'm over there for 2 weeks and you give your body time to
Yeah.
like that's what's going through your body. Like it just feels clean. I don't know how else to describe it. I come home, I try to eat the exact same diet. I'll just buy rice. I'm like, I'm gonna buy rice, make it myself. And it does not work. I just like
Uh,
I'll get swollen. Like I don't know. It's just like our food is just messed up here. It's just the way we process it, a lot of it. But and then if you really try to eat better, do the whole organic thing or make your own pasta, it's like it gets so crazy expensive so quick.
A
And
lot
then
of
on top
time.
of it, I still don't even think it's like it's really not even. I don't think it's even as good. Like you can get like where do you get your grains from? And then
yeah,
even that
it kind
is
of makes sense to me that you guys in the US like carnivore diet is so popular. 'Cause, like here it's kind of a crazy thing to even start to do because the food is
Hmm.
kind of,
Yeah.
okay. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
over there, like, oh, the only way to feel fine is just to only eat meat.
Well,
That's right.
but so Becca, she's like she'll do a ton of research before she gets into something, and she has hopefully she won't care if I share it. She had a problem, a medical problem where she like they had to take out part of her intestine, so she actually has to eat
Yeah,
carnivore or like fiber and stuff will really
yeah,
really bother her and gluten and everything. So she's done a ton of research on it too. But one thing she said that I thought was interesting was that that cows actually have like 3 stomachs. So if you're gonna eat something like they actually if
they
they're
do.
eating all the grain and the bad grain and everything too, they process it like 3 times.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
if you're eating their meat, it's kind of been like filtered or something three
Uh-huh.
times. I don't
That
know.
makes sense.
But another thing that I thought was super interesting is she looked into her ancestry too to figure out what
Uh-huh.
uh dietary stuff around that. Like maybe just what her
Like ethnic
body.
stuff.
Yeah, like I mean she's like got more of a Viking background stuff, so they didn't have a lot of plants and stuff. So just kind of thinking like if you look at
They just ate people.
your ethnic background. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's just the
Cannibalism.
diet.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I think that like evolutionary biology and diet, I think that's a big deal. Like there's there's so many if people groups like if your ethnic heritage prior to airplanes and flying all over the world whenever you want in cars was just rooted in a particular location for however long, thousands
Yeah.
of years, tens of thousands of years, and they were eating the diet particular to that region. And all of a sudden
Yeah.
now you're just like little Debbie's, let's hit it, you know?
Okay, what's your favorite Little Debbie? We gotta get this.
Ooh. Oatmeal cream pie, probably.
Yeah, see, here's the other thing with Little Debbie, is I've had this discussion before. They can, I think I've mentioned this to you too. Almost any Little Debbie you can take as like a sexual innuendo, and it just is
Yeah, when I just said that, I was just like, damn it.
That's
like so
crazy,
that
man.
this not the Nutty Buddy. That's the
It's
best one.
Californication. We're so like hypersexualized that we're just like, you can't even enjoy. a tasty little snack
Not,
anymore.
not
Like
Used to
even
go
anymore.
saying
oatmeal.
snack.
I
Not after
mean,
my comment. Not
yeah,
after my memes.
gosh, Jason. So if I would go to the US, where would I have to go? Where should I go?
Well, do you want to
I'm
be a
thinking,
Don't,
personalist about it?
yeah,
You,
don't
you
go to
go to Colorado
Minneapolis.
Springs.
Yeah, yeah,
Minneapolis.
come don't go there. It's
I
cold.
should probably get a list of where not to go and then just like,
Colorado is actually really cool. I have not gotten a chance to explore it enough. People ask me like, "What do you do there?" And I'm like, "We
uh,
just work." Like, I haven't been hiking. Like, but people, I see pictures of people hiking, and it looks really fun. So,
Yeah. I just
yeah,
sit
it's
inside on signal chats.
yeah, exactly. Talk to my friends on the internet and go to the gym.
It depends if you're gonna visit people, then I mean just go where the cool people are. But and Minneapolis is actually a really cool city. It's a phenomenal food city. It's a slept on food city because everybody will talk about like LA and New York. New York's the best probably. LA's got a lot of good things, but it's a pain in the ass getting around. Minneapolis is small. You can get anywhere in the city in like 20 minutes. And I would argue for the population, the ratio of like kick-ass restaurants we have for America is, I would say we're probably the one of the best pretty easily.
uh,
And during the summer, it's
Oh,
awesome because the lakes are really great and it's
that's cool.
awesome in the summer. The winter's actually cool too because Minnesotans just embrace it, you know? Like we cut holes in the lake, we go out, we throw a sauna up by the hole in the lake, we go do ice baths and then hang out in the sauna, you know?
that's awesome.
Sweet.
I'd love to do that.
Ice baths suck. I don't know how either of you do that. I've seen both of you do that before. You guys are crazy. Actually, I don't
Yeah,
think
Like
I've seen
basically you're
you do
just
it, but
super masculine.
you just,
yeah, like I can't do it.
there's interesting
Too cold.
actually. Apparently for women, it's a lot different. I go to the sauna in my gym, and my wife was listening to this podcast about women's health and how ice baths and saunas are different.
Hmm.
Apparently, like, and I noticed from the sauna culture, it's really funny to see all the men are like struggling super hard and all just like super restless, sweating, like looking at the clock the whole time. And then my
Yeah.
wife tells me about the women's sauna experience, and people are just lying down, they take their books, they're relaxed, they start sweating after like 15 minutes. Uh, so that's much easier for women. And then ice baths apparently are like a lot, less effective and less good for female health in general.
Don't
Uh,
you think that's like just fat, thermal insulation? Not to say like women are fatter, but like on average, they have higher fat
yeah,
percentages because
it
of
definitely has
birth.
to do with it. Yeah, for sure.
Women are fat.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's what I'm
There you go.
saying.
There you go.
Voted. I think I
That's
have
yeah,
some
yeah.
Luke quotes,
Write that
especially
down.
when he
Write that
came in
down.
here and his audio
Yeah.
didn't work.
Write that down
I
so we
was
can
looking
dialogue
for,
over it later.
here's a picture of me in an ice bath. See, look at that.
Wow, with the
That's me in
lads.
the
Man,
lake. That's me with the hat
wow.
on,
I don't
not the
like
guy
that
who's
you
That's
on
cut it
the
out in a square though, just for the people listening. You cut it out in a square. I
yeah.
think,
Why
yeah.
don't you like this anymore? Uh,
Also, this is me trying on glasses. Look at that. I'm
wow.
gonna kill you in those glasses.
it's-
Sorry.
um, was just gonna say something else, but I don't
Why do you cut
remember
it out in
now.
a square?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Some
I
left
didn't cut it
hemisphere
out.
dominance, clearly.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's also the American. Yeah, they should have cut it out in like a swan
Yeah.
shape.
Man, I feel like I don't know how it is for you guys, but I feel like America hate is at its peak. And
Really?
definitely over here, man. Like
Just because of
Europeans,
Trump, you think?
I don't know, probably partially people don't even want to go there anymore. Like it's crazy. People the perception of your
Oh,
country in Europe at the moment, it's definitely at an alter. Like when people mention America, there's like this silence that drops and it's like, "Oh, do you like like it's a third world country or something. It's like, oh, you have family in the US? That's terrible.
are they
Um,
okay?
are you okay? Like on all
Yeah.
the crimes against humanity that are going on over there. Um, yeah, how's it to be an American these days? Do you experience any of that? Like, I'm just curious about it because of the environment that I'm in. I just hear a lot of bad things. Sun's still shining over there.
It seems to be. I'm not so like for me, really, I'm not I'm not that online of a person. Like even news. Like my wife often says this to people. So like during the George Floyd stuff and like
Uh-huh.
when Minneapolis was on fire, we were out of town and and I didn't know about it. Like we drove back and I saw one of the precincts on fire and I was like, what's going on? Because like I have no idea what's
Yeah.
going on. Because I'm not like if somebody on TLC would have told me something like, what's going on? Like Minneapolis is on fire. I'd have been like, oh, then I would have been
Yeah.
aware of the
If you saw
news.
it on the Discord.
But I don't, but other than that, I don't follow the news. So even in politics, I only pay attention to really peripherally because I have white male privilege and I don't have to. But so all that kind of stuff, I don't really, it is almost kind of like a really boots on the ground thing. I feel like I think of it this way. There's a recurrent, one of the big things I took away from Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I know this seems like a weird pivot, but it's not, is Dr. Frankenstein, who creates the monster. He goes through these periods where he really starts to spiral emotionally and psychologically. And then it says like he went out and he walked by a lake or he took a walk in the park and he returned to himself and he was fine. I think truly if people like most of what you're saying, I think is people paying attention to electronic information or
Yeah.
even like news. And I think if you pull yourself away from that, you just realize the sun came up and the sun went down and look at this flower and look at this bee and like, oh, go garden. Like it's just not,
Yeah.
it's not that big a deal. Like it's not like I'm not interested in politics or Trump or economic policy or immigration and don't have thoughts about it, but um everything's much, it's like when you actually talk to people, comedians will talk about that who do the circuit, and the coasts in the US, like people will shit on the middle of the US. And then they're like, you go out and you meet these people and they're just normal, hardworking, not stupid people,
Yeah.
like just get out. I don't know. Like what people say in the news is will make you crazy and will make you unnecessarily hate people and think the world is a way that it's not really,
Yeah.
like in a phenomenological way.
That's good. I agree. I love meeting other people, you know, on different places. I love it. I love like seeing broadcasts or videos about just very normal people in different parts of, well, the US is especially interesting. I've spoken about this before, but just the culture you guys have is insane. Uh, like
In what way?
in the sense that you don't punish being extraordinary, you know, like it's almost celebrated over there. Over here, it's like we just have the opposite. If you're extraordinary, you kind of like there's something wrong with you a little bit, um, which is why we never left the continent. You know?
Oh, I want to ask you so about Dutch culture. I was watching Ted Lasso last night with my wife, and they made like a Dutch joke because there's one of the footballers is
Yeah,
Dutch.
he's Dutch. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I saw a clip of him.
All right, and he makes this, and he's talking to this one player who's struggling and had like or he's having a conversation with one bad player, and they're like talking back and forth, and the Dutch player just says something like, "Oh, like he's just like." Because they're all like they're losing, and he's like, "Well, I wasn't playing really bad. That was just you." And they're just like, and everyone's just like, oh man. And they're like, no, he's not trying to insult you. He's just Dutch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like,
This is
how does that,
it's
what,
not
explain the
filtered.
joke?
It's not.
Yeah.
Well, it's the joke is that the Dutch are direct and they don't have a filter, and they'll tell you the truth, and they don't really. Um,
We're not trying to be mean.
yeah, they're not trying to be mean. That's just the way we are. Like it's just there's absolutely no filter to what a lot of Dutch people do. It's so direct. Like if you do something wrong at work, they'll people just tell you, or if you do something weird, or if if you're acting
Like
a
the
little,
opposite of the Midwest in the US.
yes, yes. And so
Like the
some people,
total cultural opposite.
my wife loves that. Like she came here and she's like, "Oh, people actually tell you the truth over here. They tell you they give you good feedback on stuff and they'll be clear with you, but sometimes it's going at a cost of some things.
Yeah,
So
there's
There's
like a
people.
sorry, Jason. One thing. There's a
No,
quick
no, I was
joke
just gonna
about
go. Yeah, go ahead.
there's a quick joke about Minnesota where they say like a Minnesotan will give you directions anywhere except to their house.
yeah, exactly.
Sorry, go ahead,
Yeah.
Jason.
No, no, I was just gonna say there's places in the US that are more like that for sure.
And you got
That's the
some
thing with
Dutch
the US
people.
too. Like there's the culture around
Yeah.
there from state to state. It just varies so much. And so yeah, you can be in a state probably more like New York and stuff. I think they're known for that, just shooting you straight and telling you
Right.
what you think. think and everything.
And even like Eastern and Western South Dakota, where I grew up, because like my wife is from Eastern and I'm from the West, because everybody thinks people who aren't from the U.S. or even from the Dakotas, as it's called, will separate North and South Dakota,
Uh-huh.
and because that's the states, but really the cultural difference is East and West hugely because the geography is different, the heritage is different. The Western side, like where I grew up, is very much more Dutch or like Old West, where you think like an Old Western, like they're gruff, like they'll just tell you what they think. You go to
Yeah.
the Eastern side of the state, it's like Minnesota, and
Yeah.
they're very polite and like passive aggressive.
Yeah, the passive aggressive. They'll tell you what you think, but in a passive aggressive way. Yeah,
Yeah, I
there's
really dislike
like that
that.
too.
But I like the balance. I was telling Jason before, in Malaysia, people are like super polite. They're not direct, but they're warm and they'll, but they're terrible at directions. That's for sure. I tried to get something done at the airport and they just sent you to another desk like 14 times with just they do it in a confident way as well. It's like, yeah, you got to go to desk 9,
Yeah.
third row to the left, and it will just be nothing related to what my question was. It's
Oh,
insane.
do they know what lines are too over there? Like,
Like
because in
cues.
India, like
Oh
it's
yeah, they're
well, like
okay.
lines. It's just kind of like you just crowd, and then if you can weasel your way around, like you just bump in front of people,
It's all
and you
right.
just
But I was at Disneyland last year in Paris, and there were some Indian people, and they just didn't agree with lines as an existing thing, and
yeah,
they're just
that
walking
that
through. And I'd never seen this before. My wife, who lived in India, is like, "Yeah, there we go." And I was just
yeah
like, "What's going on?" They're just walking through.
Yeah,
yeah. If
like a
you if you
Midwestern
travel.
American would just be like, "What?"
Yeah, they caught me in line. Like if you travel to India, that's you should be aware of that. Like just be aware that there's no line etiquette and there's no problem with it. Like people aren't gonna get mad at you if you just kind of like nudge your way in there.
Which
But
is why traveling is so really good for you culturally, especially for I think especially for Americans. This is where like I'll agree with Europeans. Like you guys are so close to each other with obviously different cultures and
Yeah,
etiquettes to some degree that
yeah,
you
yeah,
just grow up with an awareness of that. But like if you grow
definitely.
up in the middle of the US, you can just think like it's kind of like the hegemony of the urban monoculture and liberalism. Like we just think like that's just the way the world is. We just need to spread democracy to the world because it's obviously the thing everyone wants and
yeah,
needs because it's
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
best because it's what we
exactly.
are, right?
yeah,
Yeah. I like that we do so many like little things. Well, we do a lot of things differently, like purposely, but then one of them, my favorite traveling one is when you're in another country and they have to spell something for you, or they're giving you like some sort of letters, and then they say Z, and it's like if you're in America, like if you're not aware, you're like, what are you saying? What is
yeah.
this letter? Everywhere else they say Z.
Yeah.
It's
Do you
like
guys
we're the
know
only ones.
the military one, like Alpha Bravo
I
Charlie?
mean, a little bit.
I don't know it at
Yeah.
all, but sometimes people will just like I've had it multiple times, and it was both times was with airlines that I'll have to spell something out with that, or they'll spell it out to me, and I'm just like trying to echo it back to them, and I have no idea. So I'll just make up
Yeah,
names, right? Like
Yeah.
yeah,
Dave or something for D.
Why are you giving me all
yeah,
this extra information? Just tell me the letters.
yeah, exactly.
But some like in Indian culture, it's then impolite to not understand. So I'll just like tell them the code, and this was at a time when my wife had issues with her flight, so I had to do it from here, which cost me like 50 euros to call them,
Uh,
and I'll explain to him the code, and he just like, yeah, I got it, and I was like, okay, really, you got it, you got it. It's like, yeah, 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 okay, okay, and then 30 seconds later nothing's solved. So I have to call them again and I get another person on the customer service. And that basically
Oh
went
my
on
gosh.
7 times. Um,
that stuff, like
Like,
culturally, do you start to lose your mind? Because, like, for
yeah.
me, like, I start to just be like, what the hell? What's the point of life?
Yes.
Like, customer service stuff. And when you just spend, or like trying to fix a printer or something, that's where, like, I want to
yeah.
just, I can start to lose my
Man,
mind.
I have
Yeah.
this too with technology. Can really like not a lot of things really frustrate me, but when stuff like that just doesn't work out, or like our flight got canceled last minute and nobody told us and we had to figure it out. Uh, man, that's infinitely frustrating. Or the website wouldn't work. I don't know why I have so much less patience for that type of stuff.
Yeah.
When
It's because we're
technology doesn't
moving at the
work,
speed
yeah.
of the electron, man.
Yeah.
You just want to smash it. When something you built doesn't work, it's like I'm just gonna smash it now.
Yeah.
Like the printer. it feels better to smash the printer than
Printer is also
fix it.
so smashable. Like it just makes a nice sound. It doesn't really hurt you if you do it, probably.
Yeah.
I watched Office Space with my kids the other day, and I didn't know how much of it was going to translate. You know, like when they go out at the end when they all quit and they just like wreck that printer, and they're just like playing that hardcore gangster rap as they just like all beat the shit out of that printer. And I'm just like, this probably doesn't make sense to you. Like, I feel like that's something that only translates to adults.
Yeah.
But my kids thought it
Yeah.
was funny with like because the very beginning of the movie. Have you guys seen the movie Office Space?
No.
What? You should
No.
totally watch Office Space.
Okay.
Um, but the very beginning of the movie, it's a class. It's like a cult classic. But there's this like white dude who's like driving to his office at a cubicle, and he's just in his car, and he's just like listening to hardcore gangster rap, and he's just like singing along super hard. And all of a sudden, this black guy just like pulls up driving by, and he just like turns it down and like rolls up his window, and it's just like he walks by and he turns it back up. He's like super hilarious. I love
That's
it.
relatable.
But we have
Okay.
to do a live viewing of Office. What is it called? Office?
Office Space. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it. I have no idea what you're talking about. I thought you were talking about The Office for a second, but then when you talk about
No,
Smashing
this is
Pumpkins,
like before all that stuff.
Lucas,
Can't.
he's got some good movie recs, that's
I'm
for sure.
sure you sent me.
Um,
I'm too old, I
I
I'm
guess.
curious about something. Wait, Jason, what you're gonna ask a
Oh no, I
question?
was just gonna say, going back to the destination thing though, you should visit Florida if you go, because it's just weird. There's nowhere else like Florida. It's like
Yeah.
it's probably one of my favorite states, but I don't know that you'll get a context for it. Well, every state's kind of like that. You kind of got to go. You don't really get a context for the whole country if you're just staying in one state.
No, but
But
I'd love to
Florida's
get.
where they got the alligators. Well, Louisiana's got alligators too, but Florida's on another
I got the
level.
swamps, rocket launchers, everything.
Yeah.
Uh,
Luke claps. I've seen that. I've seen that cover.
no, I've never
Yeah.
seen it.
I've never watched it though. But
Well, Luke, tell me what you think about the Jordan Peterson versus 20 Atheists thing. Because I watched it because
Um.
of you. I started watching it.
Oh,
I
nice.
have not
So I'm
watched it.
curious. You didn't watch it?
No.
Luke, tell them
I'll be right
about
back
it.
though.
What's going on?
Oh, okay. I gotta
So,
listen.
oh, it's like it's this channel. So PBK actually was connected from with Upcycle Club, Harris, who from Cyprus. He somehow found one of the guys who spoke to Jordan Peterson, and then PBK did like a quick video with this guy just talking about it and some of the behind the scenes thing. So you got to know a lot more about Jubilee and what their whole shtick is. But it's like a YouTube channel that does these things, like one person versus all these other people, and it's a
Have you ever
particular
seen something
format.
like it, Jason? Do you know what he's talking about?
No, no, I was listening to Luke talk about Jordan Peterson being on Jubilee, but I didn't even know what it
You've never
was.
seen like
Like,
this format where it's like a circle of people and then there's one in the middle and they all argue against it.
no,
You've never seen it?
no,
It
no.
sounds like
Is it a new
hell to
format?
me.
Yeah,
I think it's been around a few
I,
years. Like it's the total opposite. See, so that's what I would say. Like the
I was
medium
there.
of it, it's interesting, but it's like
Hmm.
it's so much different than what we were even talking. I think it's very much rooted in what it is. This is the way I would say it. It's the logical, literary either or mode of propositionalism.
Yeah.
It's like everybody's looking for definitions.
Yeah.
It's like a definitional based understanding, and I'm like,
Yes.
you're fucked to begin with. Like that's the wrong way to understand anything is through a
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
definition because you don't understand the definition isn't a static substance monad of a thing. You like where did the definition come from? What's its relation? A text without a context is meaningless. That's my shortest way to say it. And they are all in that spirit. They're all in that mode. Even Jordan, well, to a large degree, Jordan Peterson too. So it's just clickbait. Like they know it's going to be a shit show, which is why they set it up that way.
So
You
it's
know,
just they put him in the center and put a circle of 20 people
Yeah.
around him, and they just
He had
all
like statements that he made, like atheists reject a God they don't understand, and he'll have to explain it, and it doesn't work because Jordan is just like he needs time, and
they kept mocking him because he put forward these assertions, and then it's the whole thing, which in the corner, like Chad calls it, our lightsaber of meaning of what do you mean by that? Which we've gotten so many conversations out of that because that's the God of your understanding.
yeah,
That's the tell me about
yeah,
the God you don't believe in. I probably don't believe in it either. And like
yeah.
that's a positive in the TLC, but in that world, they just, and if you look at the comments, they're just mocking him for it. Of like, what do you mean by why? What do you mean by,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, this kind of gets, I think, to what when we were talking, because before you hopped on, we were talking about like why we were joining churches, like why I'm getting baptized. Lucas has been
Mhm.
going to the Catholic Church. And then and I said, overall I feel like there's something extremely important to it, just the idea of commitment. Like I'm gonna, why did you marry your wife? Like why did you commit to this one thing? But even that, like what did you mean by that? I can see why it would be annoying to people because it's like just commit to the definition. And
Yeah.
there is something to that though, like where you don't necessarily want to lose that. Like you like to have the context like you're talking about because everybody means different things. Like if you commit to the definition too hard, then you just end up with babble. But then at the same time, on the other hand, it's like you have to, at least to some degree, or everything's kind of meaningless. So if your answer is always, what do you mean by that? Or that could mean anything. I don't think what do you mean by that is necessarily the same thing though. I don't think it's wrong to ask
Yeah.
that because you're really trying to get at the person rather than the word, I think, if you're actually in a dialogue.
Yeah,
If
but
you're,
that's
I don't
why I
know.
mean you're not really gonna learn much in a context like that or in a debate.
Yeah.
Debate especially,
Yeah.
it's not for learning, it's just for winning. But
But
I
even with
guess
def
Jordan didn't know that.
But
Mhm.
even with definitions too, it's kind of you can't really have your own personal definition. Like you will always have your own personal definition with any word, but you have to have the cultural one too. You
Yeah.
can't just yeah, just make up, you know. Like if
Well,
I
and
say
that's
sick
why,
now, sick means something like, I can be
yeah.
like sick means sick, but then to most people now sick is cool. And so it's like you have to
Mm.
factor in the cultural meaning of the word as well and how it shifts and changes. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's like why
But
I love I quote it all the time, but like I got it from Jedediah Pascal, like frequent Grail Country contributor. But he said it, and I think it's very illustrative by what we talk about. Everything is relative, but not arbitrary. So like
mhm.
what you mean by something is relative. It's based in your experiences, your intellectual capacity, the cultural definitions that you've been given, all that stuff. It is relative, but it's not arbitrary. Like, because that's kind of what you just said. It can't mean anything
Yeah,
because that would be completely decontextualized from anything, which nothing
Yes.
is.
Yes.
yeah,
It would
yeah.
go anywhere.
But there is something like I don't know, and I think even I've heard Nate talk about it a little bit here and there in the corner. Like he feels that vibe of people getting really more kind of doubling down or getting more hardline or more. I feel like I've heard him talk about that more. Like people getting more. I don't know. Judgmental is not the right word, but I feel like I feel like that's going to be the swing too. I mean, we've talked about that before. Of like it's kind of when you get into this more openness where everything is more open and fluid and there's a gray space, like it's gonna come back around where it's like, no, what do you mean by this word? Like it's like you can't just like you have to commit. Like there's gonna be like hard lines of like I feel like that's gonna come back around pretty heavy and pretty heavy
Well,
handedly too. And they're
people like their walls, man. They like their
yeah.
security. Like an open space is scary because you're just like, how do I protect
Yeah.
myself from what I can't see or when night comes or,
Yeah. And
Yeah.
how do you so okay, so how do you do that? In a healthy way because like that is preserving the holy, that is preserving the sacred, like that is preserving your relationship with your wife, like that is like I mentioned to Lucas, that's drawing a magic circle. Like that's how you don't get demons. Like you have walls, you have a circle, you have something closed, and that's how um and so in that you the reason I'm asking you, Luke, is because you say in your church like they preserve hospitality, so it's like you're conserving what is open, and how does that I don't know, how does all that work?
I think part of it is the w the way I often see it, and it's the balance between because even the Jordan Peterson thing, I think all conversations all the time, more or less, are about, we've had many conversations with Cal, freedom and constraint, boundaries, what is a body, defining these lines, because people are always trying to orient themselves. Where am I? Where am I in relation to this, to that? Sometimes that's fear based, sometimes it's not. So, like in my church, when you're trying to conserve hospitality, I think when you ask that question, um, this is where, in a sense, I'm traditional or conservative is I don't think it's wise to completely untether yourself from what you've been given in any particular way, like whether it's a religious tradition, family traditions, linguistic traditions, whatever. Like you've been given those things and that's a good thing, but that doesn't mean that you
Yeah.
have to be completely closed off to any sort of other orientation or change. And so like basically that's why I'm kind of a non-interventionist and why I think slow change is tends to be pretty positive. And like even within Orthodoxy, they just like I don't think on one hand, even though why Orthodox and I'm not like some sort of apologist where like everybody needs to convert to Orthodoxy. I'm just speaking my own experience. I want to put that caveat out there. Is
Yeah, shut up about
because people
orthodoxy.
automatically
God.
go there. If I talk about anything
Yeah,
I
I
like
know.
about Orthodoxy, there's like you're a
Yeah.
proselytizer. I'm gonna read a George MacDonald quote about proselytizing too.
Oh yeah,
Um,
see this is
but I one of the things that's so great about them is I think they're largely non-interventionists. They're like the liturgy is the liturgy, and we're not. But like the thing is it does change slowly over time, and there are ethnic expressions of it that are a little bit different, but it's all pretty slow and controlled, and that's kind of the arc mode of orthodoxy. They're like that is the tradition, the body that you've been given. It's not that they're not open to new stuff, but they're just like it's kind of the idea of fools rush in. And like if you think about even evolutionary biology and technological intervention, like you should be a little leery, even when it comes to like maybe injecting something into your body or whatever. Like what you
okay.
put into your, I mean, I'm
I like that
serious.
we went there. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like
Yeah, because
what you put,
we're all shooting up heroin here. That's it.
what you put into your
Careful.
body is, like you've evolved biologically, at least theoretically.
Mm.
I'm a 6 day creationist, but you've evolved um, slowly over time, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's the difference between slow growth and fast growth. Like fast, I don't know. What's the place for fast? I guess that's because that's the thing. That's a little bit of
Yeah.
orthodoxy
What?
isn't fast.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if there's a place for it. I mean, Paul said it best. Is like something that grows so fast is like cancer. I agree with that. But then at the same time, there's some, you know, like
Yeah,
the,
unless you're swole
huh?
on our swole channel, TLC, you're allowed to grow fast. That's obvious. Yeah.
I mean, I want to get
No.
like jacked as hell, but I don't want
Yeah.
stretch marks.
Yeah, and
Oh,
you don't
You
want
that's a
know?
your
good point.
joints to
That's
like
good.
not be able to keep up, right? Like that's what I don't. Certain dog breeds they can't eat too much. I think there's definitely, I think there's definitely truth to it. I
I don't
think
actually mind if my joints can't keep up and I can't like actually functionally do anything as long as I just look
it's just
jacked as
look
hell.
jack. Yeah, maybe our
Just
world is like that.
get,
Maybe that's our modern world. Like we look super jacked, but
yeah.
we can't. We're not very mobile. We can't do very much. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I also don't know what because it's in theory that's true. All of it is true, but
Well,
the reality is we've already grown super fast in many aspects. So what do you do then? Do you just deflate or do you like
But I think that's the thing, not to bring up certain people that won't be named and why Europeans hate Americans, but I think like even I'm gonna whatever, I don't give a shit. I'm gonna bring it up. But like
do
even
it.
Trump recently, like he did like when he talked with Tim Cook and Apple and he put all those like 25% tariff, threatened the 25% tariff on Apple if he's like if you don't produce the phones in America, like we're just not gonna, I'm gonna tax you 25%. And people don't like that, but part of that is like to the way that I see it is it's almost the opposite of like the 2008 housing collapse and the economic fail when we had these banks that were too big to fail and so we bailed out all the banks and but I was always like no, they're too big to not fail, they're bloated, it's a balloon. Like the reason you have a collapse is because you have an overinflated balloon. So maybe you should do economic policy to deflate the balloon a little bit so you don't have a huge disaster. And I think that's all Trump's trying to do is he's just like mining in the Congo to produce all these batteries, manufacturing them over in China or India or Thailand where they don't have the same kind of environmental regulations. Like you can ethically outsource all that stuff over there where you're just blind to the means of production and you're fine because then you end up with a phone. But guess what? Yeah, if you produce this in America, it's going to cost $3,500. but that's reflective of true cost. That's what it actually costs to make it ethically. So like, what do you really want? You want to just be blind and feel good about it and have ease and convenience? Or do you want to actually have ethical production? So all these people that are bitching about those kinds of policies with Trump, I would say, fuck you. Like, I don't believe the shit you're promulgating.
America for the
Nice.
win. Yeah, shut
It's not
up.
even America. It's just like
I'm
I'm
just
really
kidding.
an
I know.
environmentalist.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean. I do agree. Like, we are often blind to things. There's like walking a lot of people walking around in hypocrisy with that, where they have very convenient views on things that don't really correspond with their day-to-day existence and the phones they use and
Yeah,
the clothes
it's,
they
it's
wear.
a,
That's for sure.
the clothes they wear. This is exactly my statement about Malaysia. I told him my context from Malaysia, Zoolander, and that's it. Where he was outsourcing, wasn't he outsourcing the clothes being made to Malaysian slave labor, child labor, or something in that movie? I was like, that's
Probably.
all I think of every time I hear the word Malaysia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe that has to do also with the like Christian calling to not be to not cling onto your wealth too hard. I think that's a really
Mhm.
difficult part. Like, I don't know, what do you guys think was meant by that? Like, to what degree should you give what you have away? To like, because sometimes I think about it, I'm definitely I cling on to my what I have super hard, and I don't have a lot, but like the comfort I have, the house I live in, having a warm shower, uh, having a
It
bicycle,
is.
like all these things, I'm not really willing to give them away. But should I give more? Like, should I
Well, I
should I be willing to pay 3,500 for a phone and stuff like that? You know?
I think it's probably related to well, at least for me, it feels related to the commitment thing. Just in a broader way, because just personally, uh, before before I was with Rebecca, I keep pointing that way. She's somewhere over there. And just being single,
My
and
girlfriend from Canada.
there's something so liberating about downsizing, and I think people are recognizing that too. Like people that are become minimalists, there's something so liberating to not having attachments in this world. Like even the whole, wasn't that like the Buddhist thing? And so giving up literally everything. You can't take anything with you. It is like the most liberating thing to just give freely. Um, but then if you actually have a family or you have a wife, it's like you have to
Yeah, it's
make
different.
a commitment. Yeah.
I
And then
definitely felt that shift as well.
I would
where
do
you're
it, but my
giving and
wife
where you're
is
spending.
such a
What'd you say?
materialist. I mean, I would give everything really, but my wife is she's greedy,
My
you
wife's the
know?
reason I'm not enlightened.
Well, yeah, there's this like you've drawn a circle and your family is kind of like insular in some way, and that's where you're putting your time and your money and
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like the ark or the seed or something like that. Like there's an investment into this circle, this thing you're committed to, where you're putting that. I mean, ultimately, it's gonna have to be sown at some point.
Yes.
But you can't, like, it was just so much easier for me to just, you just, because the question that would come from me, if it was ever a question to give, or like, should I get rid of this or should I get rid of that? If there was ever a question to give to someone else, especially when I was by myself, if you don't have anyone else in your life, it's like, well, it's the only option is selfishness.
Mm.
Is it for me or is it for them? It's like you don't have to think about, is it for my kids? Is it for my wife? Is it for their future? It's like, it's just me or them. And so it was so much easier and so much more of a conviction to just, it's like, it's not even a question for me.
Yeah.
It was like, this person needs
Yeah,
$500. Should I give it to
but I
them?
feel like
Okay.
you're that way. Like you and Cal more than anyone I know are that way. And I talked to like when we were having our love signal thing like a few weeks ago, and I was just like telling you guys like you're some of the most Christian people I've ever met in my life, and all like that's the highest compliment you can give. Like essentially, if you're a Christian. Sorry, Kezi, you dirty Jew. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean. Like it's like if Jesus Christ is like your exemplar, and you're just like you being Christian is like it's high praise.
Yeah.
And I was saying all that stuff to you guys, but part of it is damn it, now I forgot what I was even gonna say with my stupid joke.
about giving liberally, and that's what we were talking about. And you mentioned Cal being able to do that
Oh
as
yeah, yeah,
well.
yeah. Oh, what I was gonna say is like even your dumb wedding. So I'm going to your wedding, your dumb wedding, and
It's not
and
dumb there. Well, though there will be a Jewish person there actually. So.
keep them away from me. But but like when I was saying I was gonna come to your wedding, and Jason like immediately one of the first things he's saying because I'm like wondering if I should or whatever, and it's always a little bit of a bridge of trust in my wife to just be like, you're gonna go to a wedding of a guy like online that you've never met, and that's part because we didn't meet when we were in Tennessee, but we should have. Um, but like Jason, the first thing you said was just like, "Well, I'll buy your ticket." I'm like, "That's the dumbest thing in the world. No, you're not buying my ticket." Because the truth is like probably not to flex on the Gym Bros stream, but like I probably have more money than you. I mean, I don't really know how much
You
money you
probably do.
have, but like it's
But
not
that's very minimal at the moment. But
right.
we
And
just
so
bought a
like
house, so it's kind of like,
right, but yet you're just like, "I'll buy your ticket." Like that's the kind of guy you are, which is awesome. I don't think you
yeah,
can
I'm
ever
really.
prescribe it for everybody because I think God is
You,
different. Kind of
you
like the rich
can't.
young ruler was for him. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm really blessed in like Rebecca being able, like, she's on board with a lot of that too, which has been really nice because that's my personality. I think Cal, some of it too, I think is actually personality wise, which I think people who are more liberal and more prone to give needs maybe you should be aware of because you can do it in a nihilistic way. Like, oh,
yeah,
I'm gonna die someday, so I might as well get rid of it. But there's other people that really have a more that are blessed. I would think it is a blessing that see more in maybe an architectural way and see more of a future. And I can build this thing. I can take this money and put it here. I can invest and do this.
yeah,
And I'm not that way. Like I cannot. If people ask me, "What did you want to be when you grew up?" or like, "What do you want to go to school for?" Like every step I take, I can't even see the next step in front of me. It feels like I just don't have that vision for the future.
Yeah.
But like my older sister, she's the other way. She is an architect. That's what she went to school for. And she can see like, okay, 5 years down the road, I want to be here. And I'm like, I don't know what the heck. I can't, I'm not, I just can't see that. And so I don't know if Cal might be similar where it's like, you don't see this clear vision of like 10 years from now. So that way it's kind of like you can maybe allows you to give more freely because you don't aren't like
Yes, I
making
understand. You're not
specific
attached to a
investments. Yeah.
specific future or anything, so then
Yeah.
you can let
And I
go.
in the specific future, I don't think is wrong either because you can build something for other people. Like it
That's
can
good.
still be a seed.
Yeah,
It's just, yeah. So
yeah, that's good. What about you, Luke? What you think?
well, I mean, yeah, I think there are errors on all sides. There's a kind of to reiterate, I guess what Jason was saying is I'm similar. Like my wife, she'll often joke with me and just mess with me because like I don't like we I have a Google Calendar which she syncs all these things in, and then like I get reminders, and then she'll also like text me. She sends me if I have something I need to do, she sends me about four different messages from different things at
Wow.
different times leading up to it
that's
and like
great.
right before it to make sure it's actually going to happen. And
Yeah.
part of that is because I'm very like I'm totally to be blessed is to be cursed as well, to quote Clem
Mhm.
Snide, who I love. And every blessing is a curse. And so I'm very free. Like I'm very in the moment, but then that means like I'm not thinking about tomorrow. I'm really not
Yeah.
thinking about tomorrow. And that's not it's a good thing and it's also a bad thing. And so I would be much more inclined like I thought of Tammy Peterson actually, how she said once that one of her temptations could be to be homeless, which seemed like a weird thing for someone to say, but she's like, no, that's total freedom.
Mhm.
I don't have
Yes.
to do anything. I don't have to think about
Yeah.
anything. It's
Yeah.
just, and I'm
Yeah.
more that way. Like it's the weight of responsibility of system and structure, and it's not so much like not wanting to work because like I can work really hard, but I hate my mind is such that um I hate thinking about practical stuff, which is why I don't ever think about scheduling
I
because I'm
understand.
thinking
Mm.
about like the nature of the Trinity. So like I have no idea what's happening tomorrow,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, gosh.
um
That's
That's
recognizable for sure. My
yeah,
wife always tells
like
me you're carefree. Where's he going? Come back here.
It's, yeah,
Uh, she always tells me, she tells me like you're carefree and that's beautiful, but sometimes you can be careless, and that's like always difficult to hear. I have to say. Um,
yeah,
so I've really been trying to work on like, for example, I have needed like I like structure as a
hmm
carefree person. If there's structure and
yeah,
there's a regular rhythm to things, actually I function much better. That's why I like having a
yeah,
job. Because if I wouldn't have a
yeah,
job, I would just switch from thing to thing to thing during the day. Like I'll be super
yes,
interested in how does this manager manage his football team, and then how are specific types of metals made. Like it's just annoyingly
yeah,
open. Whereas if I have a
yeah.
job or if I have studies or whatever, it's just that's direction.
I'm totally the same way. Like actually the only thing to bring it back to the gym bro thing, like the basically the only thing that really structures me, like even days of the week, I know what day it is because it's related to like what exercise I'm doing that day.
Yeah,
I'm just like, is it a running day? Okay. And then is it the end of the week? Okay, it's Friday. That's like how I figure it out.
yeah,
Just like, did I run today? Okay, then it must be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then like what part of the week is it?
yeah, yeah,
Sometimes like it seems like a joke, but I seriously don't know what month it is sometimes.
yeah.
Like I have no idea. Like I could keep seasons, I could keep.
seasons. Yeah.
Season is okay.
Well,
Look outside. Yeah, I think we're quite similar. Are you like that too, Jason? Are you good with remembering appointments and stuff?
oh my God. No, I'm not good with remembering stuff. Like it's if you um I feel like sometimes I can get better. I pray more. I keep a little rock on me. It's a petrified what is it? The petrified wood stone.
Oh
It's
yeah,
supposed to help with your memory. Apparently, if you can get dinosaur bones too, that helps with your memory. So I need to just tie these things around me or something. Get really pagan. No, but I'm not good at remembering stuff. And then I have this
You
thing
are
too where
such
like
a
if
warlock.
you
It's
if you give
unbelievable.
me chore, if you give me chore, if I have things to do, and my mom said she had to learn this about me as a kid. Like she could give me two things to do, and I would remember them. If she gave me three, I would forget all three. Like it's just like an overload in my head, and then I just was
yeah.
like, so, and I'd get none of them done. So
Yeah.
Man,
yeah,
the
My
temptation.
dad always used to say that about work. He would just be like, two guys can get work done, three, you're just like worthless. You can give like one guy a job, or you can give two guys a job. If there's three people there, they will accomplish nothing.
that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. Or if you have three, it's like one person ends up working, and then the other two just chat or something.
I
Yeah.
wonder what that has to
No.
do with the Trinity.
Ooh,
Everything.
ooh, ooh. So I have a total like other sideball question that I've been wanting to
Go
ask to
ahead.
put Lucas on the spot if I can. So you were a model, right?
Sort of, yeah.
So sort of.
Yeah, I
Not
Do
very
was.
you
Yep.
successful, like
Oh, Lucas. Yeah.
yeah,
Sorry.
no,
unsuccessful.
no, go ahead. Uh,
I'm just making a joke,
unsuccessful.
like you were saying I was a model.
He could be
Well,
now
well,
with the shaved head. They like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
The
yeah,
markets like that look.
hmm
yeah. But so I was just curious. I'm actually a little bit curious too, like how you felt about that because I know like there's did you feel like it took a part of you away?
Yeah.
Because the whole I think it's the Amish culture, like they won't even allow like pictures taken of them or something. Because I
Uh,
heard this. I feel like it's almost like folklore or something, though. I don't know how
yeah.
accurate it is, but they feel like it takes your soul or
Yeah.
part
Like
of your
even
soul. But
looking into a
I don't think
mirror,
that's
I think it's that way.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't know if that's too far off
I
because
think
and
it,
I was kind of wondering if that even relates to the writing aspect too. Like you're really solidifying a piece of yourself in a
yeah,
I don't know.
that's
So did you
interesting.
feel that at all, or how did that?
Yeah, I think it really depended on the time of my life. Like when I was just starting it, it definitely had that impact on me. Like, um, you start to feel like you're devalued a bit when you
Mm,
do it, and just felt odd. Like at some point, I just stopped caring about it so much. Like I really just I did it sometimes when it was convenient. I said no to some things as well, and then if there was something that I was interested in, I would say yes, and I would get photos taken, and I just wouldn't care so much about it. That's when I felt like it didn't devalue me so much. So I think it really had to do with the way that I approached it. When I was really hoping to get a career out of it, um, I think that's when it did the most damage. Also because you know, to get a career, you're willing to put in a lot of work and a lot of effort, and a lot of that you don't control. So you yeah, you sacrifice your attention to it, a lot of it, and you sacrifice your attention to how you look and stuff like that. Whereas when I stopped really caring about what my appearance would be like on the camera and this and that, that's when it stopped taking its toll. Um,
I have a question for you in relation to that.
yeah,
And so it's actually related. Is I so like occasionally in live streams and stuff, it doesn't come up a lot, but like I got a comment recently that was something that made me that people will comment on my appearance or they'll say things about it, and this one was a just like I got a pretty straight up objectifying comment the other day in one of my comments,
yeah,
and it made me feel really weird. And I'm like, is this how women feel all the time? And like,
yes,
what is your experience with that, with like modeling? Because like
yeah,
if somebody just makes just exclusively a comment on my appearance, and I guess it's really positive because as I don't know, as a guy, like if somebody says something negative about my appearance, I kind of don't give a shit, and that's just kind of like guy banter.
yeah,
Like when somebody says something positive, it, like I don't know, it made me feel more uncomfortable than I felt about something in a
yes.
long time.
I
Oh,
definitely had that, like, especially at the start. Uh, but at some point, you get kind of desensitized to it, I guess. Also because I worked in a gym for a while and like I've been in the gym for a long time and there's just very
Yeah.
normal part of like, oh, you look great or this looks good or whatever. Or at the football, like I play football a lot and then I'll get comments on my body or whatever. And
Uh-huh.
after a while, just like I don't love it. I don't like it a lot. I don't like it doesn't affect me as much, but at the start for sure it was like it makes you feel really weird. Um
Yeah, what
almost
is that?
hmm.
dissociated
Because it
from yourself.
does.
Huh?
Because I mean, what is that? Do you think it's just is it just like the innate sense of being objectified and it just makes you feel gross?
Partially, I think also it's the idea that someone else is looking at you in a, well, yeah, objectifying manner, but also just, yeah, yeah,
I
like a
wonder.
piece of meat.
I
I
want.
definitely felt like a piece of meat for, like with modeling. I remember we used to, I was, speaking of Italy, I was in Milan for a month for that purpose, like just modeling and like doing auditions. And you'll just walk into a place. It's like Hollywood basically. There's like
Mm-hmm.
five people, like judges type of thing, and you walk in and they'll be like, "Yeah, take your shirt off or whatever," and then you just turn around and then you know, like, "Okay, thank
Yeah.
you, bye," and that type
And
of
that's
stuff.
the gig. Yeah.
It's terrible, like that. So that objectifying, that like when people ask me about modeling nowadays, I'll just basically tell them it's terrible and you shouldn't do it unless you're like, you know,
Is there an
really, really,
aspect of it that is there an aspect of it that's encouraging? Like
yeah, it's
as you guys
art.
are talking, I'm thinking of, oh yeah, if you approach it that way, that's interesting too. But as you guys were talking, I was thinking about just like and getting commented on your body and the relation to that just being identity related.
Uh,
Like there's something like Luke's talking about the banter of like just talking, insulting each other is kind of liberating in a way, I guess,
yeah,
because it kind of reduces the standard you feel like you have to live up to.
yes, that's
Um,
nice.
because I get comments on being thin, like usually, like that I don't until recently going to the gym, like nobody ever mentioned my muscles. But even when I was little, I remember my nickname was Bones and stuff. And so people would be like, but like I don't, like if I'm being honest, I don't ever want to be fat. Like I don't want to be
Mm-hmm.
fat.
No,
And it's probably deeply related to my identity in a really weird subconscious way
yeah,
from having that nickname as a kid, probably in a unhealthy way, if I'm being honest.
yeah,
Um, but I don't know. But then when you get compliments on stuff like that, sometimes it's encouraging and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, this
yeah.
is, like it's encouraging to get that. But then it weirdly kind of at the same time feels like it reduces you. Like,
I think it depends on how people tell you. Like, also, some people just will comment about stuff that you really can't change about yourself. That seems quite weird. Sometimes people will comment being like, "Oh, you must have put a lot of hard work in, and it shows that you have a lot of discipline or something like that." Like that's more encouraging. It's like telling kids
mm,
that they're smart versus
yeah,
that they put a lot of work into a test or whatever. Uh,
gotcha.
one
Yeah,
can
yeah.
really help you, one can build you up, and the other can, I don't know, can
The
create a fixed idea of yourself. Um,
mm, yeah,
yeah,
that's really
Yeah.
good. I like that comparison. That's
Yeah.
helpful.
It is strange because there's something about that, like the aspect, because that, I mean, that's part of it for me with exercise to make it more of the gym bro thing, and part of the reason because part of my own self-respect, I suppose, is the fact that I do think in regard to certain things, like I have a certain amount of discipline or work ethic, or like part of the reason I love running is because it sucks. Like I
Yeah.
hate it, and I
Yeah.
basically have to talk myself into it every time I go because it's not. Because people ask sometimes, like, "Are you a runner or do you like running?" Because I run 3 times a week, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, no, I don't think of myself as a runner at all. It's just like it is, and this is one of my favorite things about Rogan. It's one of the things I like about Rogan is where like he talks about just like conquering your inner bitch, like
Yeah.
that thing. Like that's really what it is.
Yeah.
And that is something that no matter what, like even for you, like when I see you do some of your videos or workout stuff or whatever, like I innately respect that because I know what it's like, or I immediately respect it because I've worked out enough in my life to know what that entails. Like even because I've said this kind of stuff before, like if you're a dude and you can't do a pull up, like I mean, fucking come on. Like get to work. Like that's ridiculous. Like unless you have some actual handicap,
There's
like fucking get
there's
to work.
I'll see
there's
this
probably
meme.
so many guys that cannot do pull-ups.
Yeah, I saw
Well,
this
I'm
meme of like on
Yeah.
Twitter, the serious thing on Twitter is like, well, if you're a guy and you can't do 30 pull-ups, you're like an absolute disaster. And it's
I
like,
mean
Do you
30s.
realize you
I'd
just
like to see the
insulted every
pull-ups you're
single
doing. No,
just
no, but
insulted every
I
single Jew.
what did you say? What did you just say?
Again, again. You're
No,
so
but
Are you saying
anti-Semitic.
Jews can't do pull-ups?
I'm not saying it.
no, but I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Uh, but yeah, also there's art to like yes, is there encouraging thing in the modeling or whatnot? I wanted to say like there is art aspect to this, also to in general
Yeah.
aesthetics in the body. You know, this is really cool thing. Is also related to lust that David Schindler said. It
Hmm.
was like a story about three I don't know people related to the church. I don't know these titles, bishops or whatever, and they're like um they're driving through this town in a carriage, and then there's this naked woman by the road, and like two of the three guys they cover their eyes, like you're not supposed to look at
Mm-hmm.
that, and then the third one doesn't, and he's like, no, but she's beautiful. Like he's pulled by beauty looking at her, not by
He's more
lust, for
pure.
example. Huh?
Yeah. He's
Yeah,
more pure.
yeah. It's more pure to be able to like do that to yeah, or to compliment someone. Like for example, if there's someone that's really beautiful, to say that wow they're beautiful, like it uplifts you, your whole being gets transcended by it in some ways, instead of saying like oh they're hot, like that's like oh there's something really icky about when someone tells you something like
Mm-hmm.
that as well, going back to the compliments thing.
Yeah.
It's like oh you're looking, you know, like that. I've always felt icky about anything related to that, especially in modeling, because they'll be making pictures of you, uh, and they'll give you comments like that. That was always icky. But beauty is something else. Art, like something yeah, pointing to something higher. So that
So
is possible. Yeah.
to get a little bit more controversial here, this this is one thing that I mean I've had conversations about this for private conversations, I guess, for years ago. We were talking about just the idea of Barbie and then you have these like chubby models now, and like chubby models are being
Oh
glamorized and
shit.
stuff. But I'm like, yeah, right. But so is that and around art and stuff, like you could have like these paintings, these like statues, everybody, and these chiseled people, and it's like you have this ideal that you can
Uh-huh.
look at. And what is it? Is it like it is limiting to have that ideal because it's like something you will probably never reach in your life, but it's at least an upward aim. And the other one's also liberating because it's like, well, this is more reality. Like
Relatable.
people look like this
Yeah.
more often. Yeah. So I don't know what to do with that. I feel like getting rid of the high art or the whatever or the ideal or
Yeah.
the the whatever the I don't know the right way to say it. Beauty might not be the right word. Uh I guess the more collective idea of the beautiful chisel or perfect
Yes.
body or whatever, like to get rid of that seems foolish, detrimental to me, and to lift the other one up to that standard. Like obviously the other one exists, but it's I don't know. I feel weird about that.
Well, so my initial thought with that,
Yeah.
and it's related, I think, because I don't know. Again, it's the everything's relative but not arbitrary. I don't think you can like to say that that ideal to just completely remove it and say everything's socially constructed and we can completely create some new ideal
Yeah.
is bullshit because it's relative. Yes, it's relative, but it's not
Yeah.
arbitrary. And so, and the reason I would say you know this is because like everybody wants to talk about like healthy at all size and like you can be as big as you want and still be healthy and plus size models and all that stuff. Guess what though? What's the number one prescripted drug in the world that's going to sell billions and billions and billions? What's the best selling drug of all time?
Viagra,
No.
obviously. I'm just kidding.
Ozempic, weight loss drugs,
Of course.
weight loss drugs. All these people that want to say like it doesn't matter, healthy at all size, all that stuff, are
Yeah.
fucking jabbing that shit into their leg as fast as they can to be losing pounds.
Yeah. Well, I think
Yeah,
for sure
yeah.
the it shouldn't be an ideal to be overweight. Like I think there's, I mean, just objectively the inflammation and all these things, it's a shorter lifespan. But I don't think it's all wrong to have some different
No.
shaped models. Like I think there's definitely good sides to that. But like you say, we shouldn't sacrifice the ideal for it. At the same time, though, there's, you know,
It's yeah, it feels kind
unattainable.
of like the weird art thing too, like how this like crummy art that didn't really mean anything was getting glamorized for a while. Look at this.
Yes,
There we go.
that's
Like you would have people like you'd have these old paintings that were like really magnificent, and then people would, do like what was that one I heard? I mean, I just hear stories. I don't ever see it, but someone like put feces on a wall or something, and it's like, oh, it's art. And
yeah.
it's like that's in that whole debate of like,
No, that's for sure. But there's another thing going on, which is that there's also ideals nowadays that are not just unattainable, but unnatural in a different way. Like the guys that are, the massive bodybuilders that
Yeah,
to me
yeah.
look freaky. Um, they're now in a lot of young men's minds the ideal, and that's a
Yeah.
different false ideal. That's not an ideal that's
mhm.
overweight. Well, actually, in a way, they are. Um, but it's taken like that, but to an extreme that uh,
Yeah, they're getting swole like America. They're gonna bust
yeah,
like
yeah.
Luke
Maybe that's
Livingston. Yeah.
I'm gonna bust.
that's related to the inflationary thing that the too much growth, like the Ronnie Coleman era,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
and then with women, some standards are also just you need to surgically. Wow, I just saw a bird like mid-air crap out a lot of. Well, never mind.
Whoa.
Sorry,
Okay.
Please say
it
more.
was
I'm
just
really interested.
extraordinary. I've never seen that much bird poop.
Oh,
Crap out.
okay.
Oh, like literally.
No, yeah, I'm
Like
not even
actually
joking.
crap out.
Yeah, yeah. What was I talking about? Yeah, the standards. Some of them are like completely
Yeah.
surgically enhanced or not
Or
Ozempic
like everybody's on steroids, which to me just seems ridiculous. So like I'll send
superhero standards. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
send us more Blake Turner. Blake
so
Turner's
yeah,
not on
that's right.
steroids.
So I wanna he is. He said he is. So I wanna
He
ask
is?
you guys, yeah. I wanna ask you
Oh.
guys about this. I'll send you pictures before. I've maybe sent them to Jason before. I don't share these. So like I have so like 7 years ago when I was getting a little like heavy dad body, like overweight. Like I've talked about this before. I've always been kind of chubbier, and then at one point in my life, I got kind of more in shape, and then marriage, family life, whatever, and I was getting thick, and that's when I started like intermittent fasting and working out more consistently. And like right after that, within about a year, I got in probably the best shape I've ever been in my life. And I'll send you guys the pictures where I'm like as jacked as I've ever been. And and I have like the before and afters. It's pretty fun because like I was like not looking great. And but like to your point, I guess this is kind of the question that I have, the kind of story plus a question is that level, like because I often struggle with that now, is like I have that image in my mind of like where I was at my peak, but it's like unattainable. Like when I was at my peak, I was like very strictly intermittent fasting every day.
Mm.
Like I had a like probably 3 to 4, sometimes extended fast eating period. And I was eating like super clean, like almost no carbs. And I was working out 6 days a week. And I was just shredded.
Yeah.
Like, but like, that's just not livable. Like the amount of attention and energy and discipline it takes to maintain that is probably like you have you have wrongly oriented values, unless like it's your job, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know.
I think that it really differs per person, the type of workout regimen you have to say what is attainable and unattainable. Perhaps the physique that you had, like just what it looked like, you could
Hmm.
do with a lot less mental willpower type of thing. Like I've found for myself, the hardest time I had working out was when I was like uh, really focusing in on endurance training and dieting super extremely and counting every calorie. Whereas I
Hmm.
feel healthier, stronger, better in every way now, where I let a lot of that stuff go and I just have some simple principles and like it's just the structure that we spoke about before that's kind of
Can you
running
go into an
itself.
infomercial right now of what your simple principles are to
No,
just be jacked and healthy and happy?
no, I'm just saying it's
Yeah, I want to break a
some of these
machine.
things are more attainable than people think, but there's like definitely harder and easier roads to get there. And then at the same time, there's genetic factors and lifestyle
Yeah.
factors that for some people just make that unattainable. So you need to find something that can work. Uh,
Yeah, because those are different body types. I often say that to my
yeah,
wife, and like, because I watch UFC, for example,
yeah,
and like a lot of those guys, like you could just line them all up at different body types and weights, and
yeah.
they're all like when they're weighing in, they're all like 2% body fat, almost dead, and some of them look just like phenomenal. Like I think like Rodriguez or something, this
Uh-huh.
Cuban dude who just has like a perfect male body, kind of. He's like one of those guys. And then there's some guys that just don't like they're just not as aesthetically they don't look
No,
as good, no matter
yeah,
how skinny they are and
yeah. It's
jacked.
true. There's a truth to it. Um, Jason, what did you want to say?
Oh, I didn't have anything to comment. I do have to go probably in
Yeah,
a
me
little
too.
bit
My wife's
because
coming
we're
home.
packing. Oh, nice. Yeah,
I'm
we're
You're
cooking.
packing
going
up. We
where?
gotta move
Huh?
stuff today.
Where are you going?
Me?
Jason?
Me?
No,
We
I
have to
thought you
move.
said you're moving, but Lucas, did you say
Yeah.
you're
No, my wife's
packing?
coming home. But speaking about the
Oh.
structure now, so I was kind of slacking on cooking and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Now we have scheduled in. I cook on Tuesday, Saturday. So I know Saturday, this is part of the commitment, right? It makes it so much easier for me to know that I have to cook these days. And then I get into it. So now it's five something. And I'll look up a recipe and do that. We spend the evening together. So that's what I'm heading off to.
Oh, oh, that's
That's
Yesterday,
sweet.
lovely.
someone asked
Cooking
me, "Do you want to
together.
watch a football tomorrow night?" And I said, "No, I'm cooking for my wife."
That's right.
Nice, nice.
I felt like
Um,
felt good. He's like, first he was like, I'll take you to Tunisia. I'll show you how to, because he's Tunisian. He's like, I'll show you how to get out of those things. And I was like, no, brother.
No,
no,
Quit.
brother.
no, no.
Instead
None
of
of that
like
nonsense. We're Christian
instead of
over
like
here.
Randy Savage. No, brother. Hulk Hogan.
You are
Oh
mistaken.
man.
I'm not that kind of man. Weakling.
That's right.
Okay. Closing thoughts, Luke.
Oh,
No,
what did you pick
Jason just
up?
said, "Oh." Jason
What?
just said,
go.
"Oh,
No,
you go
no, you
first."
go. You can go. Okay. Well, I had a question. This could be my closing thought too. Do
All
you
right.
do you pray the rosary?
Me?
Yeah,
No, I
because
don't.
you
Well,
don't
I'm
pray.
trying to
Do
go
you
to
have a
Catholic
rosary?
Church. I'm not initiated yet, so I'm trying to just talk to the priest tomorrow, maybe tell me what
Gotcha.
to do,
Gotcha.
stuff like that.
Okay. Okay. Do you want me to make your rosary? I can make them. I learned
Yes,
how.
please.
Okay. Cool.
I'd be super
Yeah, I will do
down.
that. Yeah, Cal can teach you how to pray it. He knows it better than I
All
do.
right,
I mean, I pray it, but
I'll
he's
talk to
he's he's
Cal. I
good at
haven't
it.
told him that I'm doing the Catholic thing, so I'll send.
Oh, I'll be
Maybe he'll
so
see this. He'll see
excited.
this. He'll just see this.
Yeah.
He'll be like, "I
If
did it. I converted him."
yeah, yeah, yeah. You'll be his best friend. He'll drop me and Luke and just only talk to you from now on.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll be
Luke,
good. That'll be good.
Yeah, it'd be good to get rid of that guy. He bothers
The
us too much.
takeaway,
No, I'm just
the takeaway, this was fun. I know, it was a fun dynamic. I know that you guys have been hanging out, talking more in signals and chats and whatever. Jason's one of my favorite people in the corner. I'll just say it. Like I've
oh,
just
same to
started
you.
admitting my hierarchy within there. One of the people who I would say in the corner, like if all the stuff just went away, I would like we would keep in touch for sure. You're one
yeah,
of
Yeah,
um
definitely.
And I think part of that is because it's a, and I felt like we had this vibe good where it's a, I like the balance between, I like the conversational flow of the paradox between gravity and levity. And so like I like interweaving between like really heavy,
Yeah.
serious topics and then practice and just like silly little mundane stuff and then just like weird jokes and just like all over. Like I
Yeah.
love those are my favorite kinds of conversations. And
Yeah.
so I thought it was a
Yeah.
good vibe.
Same.
Same. I feel
Yeah.
exactly the same way. It's a joy to know you
Yeah.
guys.
Sweet.
Yeah. I feel
I'm
the
gonna
same
send you
about
guys
both of
my
you guys.
fat and my jack pics.
Yeah, we'll just
Yeah.
I'll
Do
insert a
that, please.
picture right now. No, just kidding.
That's how we know we've made it.
No, I don't want to say I was gonna show you guys just the fat one, but then I was like, but then I don't want to do that because what if somebody else sees this who's like fatter? And this is like my fat pick, you know? Like that's not a good thing.
You better be
You know,
really, really fat. All right, we'll close it off. Guys, have a good weekend.
All right.
Stay
okay.
in touch.
See you guys.
Jason, send
You
some memes over.
You
Luke, send your
too.
body,
Yeah.
and then we'll all
Okay.
go to sleep.
I will. I'll send you my body.
Think about in the meantime, think about your favorite pagan deity and your favorite little Debbie, and we'll get back on it.
All right, that's homework for us.
All right.
See you guys.
All right.
Bye.